Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Tuesday. It is January 26th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And another really nice uptrend today. If you look at the big picture from where we opened, the opening was 8:30 opening was right in here somewhere. Um, we really didn't. I mean, we traded up a little bit from that point, but by the time we closed, we didn't close up that much. So it wasn't a real, most of the movement was in the overnight. We probably had an equal, I didn't measure it, but if you measure that first move up and then you look for a measured move, then you were looking for prices to get up here around 1910, but you might have even considered measuring it from here. And then this, because this is a pretty good correction right here, and then looking for the measured move up. And then look what that gets you. We basically had a perfect measured move for the most part. So, um, but this really was the end of the uptrend because we had a trend line break and this was the new high and then we corrected. So that's the reason I like measuring that other one, measuring it both ways, so to speak. This would be your first target. And then if we kept going higher, your next target would be the way I showed you the first go round. So always look at those targets because it really gives you a reason to stay with the trade if things continue to go as planned. There's some signs here that this trend is weakening as we go up. Notice how we're coming off both sides of the trend lines until here we don't quite get back up there, but we just came off the top, so we're expecting to go to the bottom. So that one's not as telling. But when we can't get there here and then we can't get there again and we turn down, we're probably going to overshoot on the other side as much as we undershot on this side. And so you figure you may get a break here, and then we'll try to get move to a new high. We tried all the way up into the close and we couldn't get there, and then of course now we're into the next day's trading. So, but we never could make a new high. So, however, this was the kind of the line in the sand for most of the day. This 1888.75, whatever it is. Let's just see what it is. 1888.50. That was pretty much the line in the sand. Um, Anytime prices came back there, it was a pretty good buying opportunity. We really didn't get a lot of chances to buy that until it was after 2 o'clock. And notice I didn't circle anything after that. So, um, but anyway, you can see this is a spiking channel. We spiked up. We went into a channel. Notice that this trend moving up is too strong. You're not going to get, for the most part, you're not going to get an all-day trend at that angle because a good healthy trend is about a 45-degree angle across your chart. And you can see we've got that here, but here we don't. And so a lot of times these moves will spike and go into a channel. So, or it may spike down and go into a channel. So we call those a spiking channel. And that's what we had today. And somebody sent me an email and they were having a hard time finding the moves today. Once we got here, it was a little bit slow. It really was. But what could you do? You just have to be patient, wait for it to come back to the key entry points, which if you saw the support here, you got key entry points right here. But either way, that is close enough to get back to the trend line that you can, my trend line's probably off just a hair. You probably adjust it. And you still get the same thing there. So you have to adjust this just a hair, but you still, either way you do it, you still get the same thing. So actually, I probably moved it too far that time. That's probably, I'm just eyeballing it, but generally I like to measure it just to make sure I'm right. But anyway, you can see the spiking channel. But let's back way out here where we can see the bars a little bigger and talk about the trades. First trade I saw was this long right here. Notice the trend working up. Uh, it looks like we possibly had a little break there, but I think I've got it a little too steep. I think it's like that right there. And you can see there's not really a break there. And you can see that fits really well. And that's a nice trend channel where the prices are holding neatly in there. We kind of overshot it a little bit up here at the top, and then of course that led to the break, and that's generally what you'll see. But you got a little trend line working down here. You got a break or a close outside, and then a move to a new low, and then we reversed. And there's really a couple of different legs in this move down. This is a first entry for all intents and purposes. Notice you got a new high here. You pull back. You get a little correction here. You move down. I get to talking and my throat starts bothering me again. I'm a lot better, but whenever I start talking, my throat starts bothering me. So I may have to pause here every so often and clear my throat. I apologize, but you just have to bear with me on this. Um, but anyway, you move down a little push up, another move down, push up, another move down, push up, and then you get a nice bullish bar here, closes on its high. You may not have caught that trade. Um, because you had to get your order in there real quick and it didn't back up, so you wouldn't have got filled on a limit order. So if you didn't have your order in there quick, you may not have got filled on that one. So maybe your chart looks slightly different, but that's a nice setup. It bounces right off the EMA, a nice bullish bar. And notice what prices we're coming back here for. Hopefully you're paying attention, but notice your resistance across here. And prices almost always come back and test those areas. And even in a strong trend, we came back, we tested it, and we bounced right off of it and got a nice setup. That's a nice quick move. And then it pulls back and it gives you a second entry long counting off this end. And that's a second entry because counting off the opposite side, because your first move is your first entry, then you pull back and you're looking for your second leg. So that's a little different the way. And actually, that's a second entry counting off the high. So it's a second entry either way, so I really like that setup. Notice your new high, pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry. So, and then it's the second entry counting off the opposite side. And then notice what happens. There's actually another, you made a new swing high, so pull back, first entry, pull back. There's another little second entry right there. I didn't like that one because it's kind of stacking up, and we do have a new high there. But notice we get a little double test here. I actually meant to make this one. This one was supposed to be green. I forgot to come back and change it. It's a double test. Wow, don't know why it keeps doing that. But anyway, it's a double test. Notice that we made the new low. We tested, come back once, come back twice. It's not a real bullish bar. We already have a new high in place. We're kind of going sideways. So there's some reasons to be concerned about that one. So I only made it green, but I still like it because we couldn't go lower. A market that can't go lower, it bounces right off the EMA, is probably going to go higher. And there is enough room to just get out before you get to that high. So I like that setup, and it does. It pushes on pretty quickly. And then watch what happens here. There's actually a failed second entry long right there, but I don't like going short on that one. This is more of a double top here, so I'd wait on the next bar. And notice we don't get that till here, but we get a break and you get this big bearish bar. I like that for a short. Looking for prices to head lower, because we got, at this point you didn't have the big channel. You don't have the channel. It just looks like a move up, a break, a move to a new high. So you're looking for a correction. And this is not a huge move down, but it's enough. We went through the EMA, we pulled back, we turned down. It's a failed second entry long because you can count that as a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it's basically two measured legs down. So I like that one. It is a big bar. Your stop has to go up here, but I like it. I really thought we'd get more out of it than that, but we don't. It bounces. And so you draw that trend line across there, and when it holds the next time, it's tempting to go long right here, but sometimes you'll get another leg down, so I didn't like that. I liked waiting on a second entry counting off the low. And just like right here, this is tempting to enter right here, but look what happens. It pushes up, it comes back. So I like waiting on that second entry off the low. And notice you pull up, you pull back. It doesn't tick lower, but it gives you a lower high. So that's still a second entry right there. So I like that one. And that trend line, this verifies the trend line. It's holding. We're probably going higher here. And of course, we do go higher. And you get a first entry short. It's tempting to want to go long here, but again, it's right into that high. So I think you're better off to wait and see if you get the failed second entry short, which comes here, and it goes lower first and then turns and goes out the upside. Just go long right there. And now you figure there's probably, early on I had this up here, but you can see it's too high, so I adjusted it, and of course it fits perfect right across there. So we just kind of overshot it a little bit here. But anyway, this is what you're looking for. Notice the new low. You push through the EMA, you pull back, you get a first entry. You go higher, you pull back, you get the second entry. It fails instantly and goes higher. That's what you want to see on a reversal. And look at it go. And I like this one. Notice you got this low here. You got a little higher low, then you kind of make a double bottom, and this is really the double test rule again. And the reason I really like this one is because it's a repeat pattern from right here. This one would have been green, but when you get it up here and you see that same pattern again, notice it made a low, and it gives you that little double test right off the EMA. So I like that one. That's a trap. It's a failed second entry short. People are trying to pick tops, so somebody actually made a comment on the website or on the YouTube about that was their problem, trying to pick tops. And this is why we don't pick tops, because you don't know when it's going to keep going. Stay with the trend once you realize what's going on here. Like I said, right here, we liked this short because we know we're coming back to the other side, but at that time we didn't even know we had a channel. So once you know you got a channel, you pretty much want to stick with the trend if you can. When you're coming back to the other side, if you get a trap or something, I like it, going short then, like this one right here, because by this time I'll explain that when we get to it. But anyway, this was a nice long, and then we're just kind of going sideways, and look at that support across there. You got to wonder about that. It really is not real clear that it's going to hold, because you really have the EMA or the midline holding up through there that looks like is probably more the issue. But when we bounce right across there and get held on there again, you can tell there's support there. But notice what happens. We make a double top. We didn't quite get back up there. We pull back, we get a first entry. We pull back, we get a second entry. And it's tempting to go long on this second entry. I was tempted to go long, but the reason I don't like it is because we got a lower double top here, and this thing is kind of moving sideways now, and we just came off the top, and we tested that top multiple times, so it's time to go to the other side. So you better be real careful here. If you got trapped here, you probably want to go short there. There is a failed second entry long. You could have gone short right here. That one probably should be circled green, but I'll tell you the reason I don't make it red is because we're still above the EMA, and a lot of times that EMA will hold. It's not as reliable as the trend line or the trend channel, but sometimes you'll get a good setup off of it. If prices would have turned down here and then turned back up, maybe, but now you got a trend line off those two, and look what happens. Now you get the failed. This is technically, let me back up. This is technically not a failed second entry long because you got one here. But this is really still one move up right here because we never went lower. So notice first entry, pull back second entry. So it's a second entry short. It made it a little bit lower low. You can still count as a second entry short, but you can also treat this like a failed second entry long. But more importantly, we came through the EMA, or I'm sorry, well, we did come through the EMA, but we also came through the midline. And we came back and tested it and got this big bearish bar. So where are we probably going? We're going down. And so I like that one for a short. It's a little bit concerning about this support across here, but I think there's enough going on that you can try to, if you want to, you could try a limit order, maybe a tick or so back in to give yourself a little more room. But you got to be pretty certain we're coming to here. And that's exactly where it goes. This one is borderline being green because of that support across there. And if you skipped it for that reason, don't beat yourself up. That's okay, because that's probably the smarter move. Because like I said, this is real borderline being green. But notice we bounce here, we pull back, we get a second entry long here, but we're still under the EMA. We don't have a very bullish bar. You don't get your bullish bar to here, but it does break lower and turn and go out the upper side. So I'm okay if you want to be aggressive going long there, but you're better off to wait on that failed second entry short. That's your reversal pattern. Notice we push on through there, we pull back, we bounce right off the EMA, and we get that failed second entry short. Let me show you this new low. Pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It fails instantly, and you can tell that's a trap by it automatically turns and goes straight up out the other side. And so I like that one for a long. It's tempting to go long here, but you're right back into that EMA. You're already to the other side of this little channel. It would have worked, but you don't know that in advance. You know, we don't have that crystal ball, and if you follow the rules, you just really don't want to go long there. And then you pull back here. We didn't quite get back to the EMA, so I don't like going long there, and you're going long right into, this is the high of the day now, and you definitely don't want to go long 2 ticks into the high of the day, because this is what happens to you. You get trapped. And notice what we're working back down here, and we've come up short twice now. So there's a failed second entry long right there that turns and goes down the other side. That one could probably be green too, but again, I didn't like it because it's a double bottom right there, and it's right into the EMA, and you're right on that midline. So I think you're better off to wait and see what happens. And then it pulls back, gives you a little double top. It goes out the top first and then turn and goes right out the bottom. I like having to stop there. And this is a good example of why we only go for 4 ticks, because this trade got exactly 4 ticks and then went higher and ran everybody's stops and then went where we thought it was going to be. And so if you'd have went for even one more tick here, you'd have got stopped out only to watch it go exactly where we thought. Now here's another thought too about why you didn't want to go short right here, but I liked it here because you get kind of a trap and you're looking for a new low on this. But notice this little channel working up, and that's the first break. So what usually happens, you get a run to a new high. So you could have actually gone long there as well, because it's basically a short trap, to be honest. It looks like it's going to be a long trap, and it turns out to be a short trap. But I liked the short, and it did get a scalper's profit, so I still like that trade. But I probably should have circled this one as well, and it could actually be blue. But it is really hard to, if you're short, to switch gears like that, and that's why I probably didn't really, I missed that one. But I really liked that long, looking at it after the fact. But while we were looking at the chart in real time, I didn't like that long so much. But looking at it after the fact, probably better off skipping this and going with that long right there if it sets up. But I really thought we'd come back to the trend line again. We didn't. And you can't take that short. That's a first entry short. We just had a big, huge move up. No long here. And it's tempting to go short right here. It's a second entry, but look at all that overlap. And, you know, it's just kind of sideways. We've really just kind of been going sideways here. So I think you're better off to skip that and see if we get the failed second entry long. And then you get one right here, but I don't like that short either, because you got to go short just right into that low. It's a real neutral bar. But look, we get 2 legs back to the trend line, and you get a big bearish reversal bar. That's the one you want. And that's an easy trade. It's over in just a couple seconds. And then you get one more second entry short. This one I made green. And that's the first break of this channel coming down. So you're going to probably get a retest of the low. And you got plenty of room to get out there. But the reason this one is green is this is a somewhat neutral bar. It's not a very good signal bar. So I think it's a little bit risky. And by the time you get this bar, you know, you got 3 or 4 points to the high there. So you just can't really get in that one. Notice what happened here, though, and this is what I'm always talking about. You could try to let it break here and drop a limit order back up here where it was supposed to be, and look, it backs all the way back up into there and then goes lower. So always try a limit order. A lot of times you're going to miss it, but you never know, you might get filled. I think the reason most people are scared of it because they start seeing prices back up, and they're thinking, hey, we're probably going the other way. But if you're reading the price action properly, you know what's going, you know where we're headed. We're headed down here to make a new low below that bar right there, and that's exactly what happens. And we test that a couple times before we go higher again. So you're looking for a chance to go long here, and the only reason you don't like it on this second entry is because that's the first break of this little channel, and you don't have a new low in place. Now, if you'd got a trap here and then it went higher, yeah, I'd say jump on board. That's your reversal pattern and go long with it. But you don't get that, and then that got you into the 2 o'clock hour. So it's all right there on the chart. The problem is being able to uh, see all that and recognize what's going on in real time, and that's not always easy. Uh, but the key, and this is the key, and that people don't want to listen to me on this one. You got to learn to see it after the fact first. And so study this chart till you see that, see these things I'm talking about. And then once you can start to glance at the chart before you watch my chart lesson and you see these things and you mark them out yourself, eventually as you start to see it every day, you'll see it in real time, and it's like a little light goes off and you'll say, oh man, I see this in real time right here. Look, and you'll see one here and maybe one there. And then each day you'll get better and better at it. So the key to this entire thing is not sitting here trading all day and then being, and then wondering at the end of the day what you did right and what you did wrong. The key is trading as much as you can, getting as much screen time as you can, and then going back and reviewing this chart and reviewing all your trades, figure out what you did right, then figure out what you did wrong, and learn from it. The things you did right, try to do more of it. The things you did wrong, you try to correct it and you learn from it. And that's what makes you a better trader. It's not trading all day every day. And I have this conversation a lot with traders. They get on there and say, I've been trading for 6 months, but they trade all day and they quit and they go home and they never look at their chart. They don't understand why they failed or why they didn't. They just know they screwed up. They may even see something that says, hey, I should have known better than that. But if you study this thing, you start to see all this stuff in real time. You'll start to see it quickly after the fact the more you study your chart. And so people argue that what good does it do to see it after the fact? But trust me on this. Just take my word for it and try it. It is very helpful to be able to see it after the fact. And no, everybody can't see it after the fact. I'll have people say, well, anybody can see those trades after the fact. Well, yeah, anybody can point out and say, hey, yeah, you would have worked from here, it would have worked from here, it would have worked from here. But do you understand why? That's the key. Why does it work? Why did we bounce here? Why did we bounce? Let's just back up. I'm going to talk about this a minute and I'm going to wrap it up. Why did we pull back to here and bounce? Well, first of all, we're coming back to the EMA, which is real common. But that's that resistance area that we broke through right across there. We're coming back to test it. And so that was why we were coming back. And once we've tested it and we get a reversal, then we can go higher. Why are we going higher here? Because we had a break of this channel and prices are going to try a retest. That's why. And so once you get up here, why are we coming back to here? Because we always pull back to the EMA pretty quickly. Prices don't stay away from the EMA very long. When you stay away this long, that's not normal. That's not common. And usually when you come back to it, it's going to be a pretty good move. And so a lot of times those are sure things, especially if you get an overshoot like this. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But so why are we going higher here? Because we're looking for the retest on the break of that channel. Then we get up here and we turn down. We got away from the EMA. Plus, we haven't come back to the trend line. We don't necessarily know this trend line's down here yet. But that's why prices are coming back. But you know that you got one working down and you get a break and you know you're going to get a retest of the low. So you got a chance to go short there. So then we bounce here and you can find this trend line and you come up here with your upper trend line. And so where are we headed next? We're going to head to the other side of the channel. If you recognize that channel, you know that. And look at that trend that goes straight up, almost straight to it. That's easy trading. And once you get up here, what is likely to happen again? Prices are going to try to go back to the other side. This has been a strong trend. So rather than going down back to it, we just kind of moved across to it. And then once we touch it, where are we headed next? To the other side. Prices are going to attempt to go the other side, and we try that right here. Another good move all the way up. If you just wait for these two key entry points, you had 1, 2, 3 easy trades, and all those trades, all three of those had a runner. Actually, this one may not have got one, but I know these two did. And so that's generally where you're going to get your runner, off the key entry points. So I hope that's clear to you. And here's, just let me continue this. And once you didn't get back to the trend channel line up here 3 times, what is that telling you? That's telling you the market's getting weak. This trend is weakening. So what may happen next? We may get a break of the trend line, and we'll probably overshoot it, similar to what we undershot it. You know, it may not be exact. It may not even, we did just barely overshoot it, but it's generally going to be about equal. And if you come down here, you look at that, that's a perfect, almost measured overshoot. So that tells you that we're going to probably bounce right in there somewhere. But no matter what, you got this trend channel working down, and you're going to get a break and a retest attempt. And then once that happens, what should happen next? We're going to try to reverse and go the other way again, and that's what ends up happening. So it's all here on this chart. The key is being able to read it and understand that. This chart speaks a language, just like me, and just like I'm speaking to you in English, but it's a written language, and it's not easy to understand. Once you get it, it gets easier, but it's not easy to understand, and that's the key. If you want to make money as a trader, you've got to learn to read this chart and understand what prices are telling you. And it can be done. It takes a while. You know, most people can't do it in 6 months. Most people can't do it in a year, because not only do you have to learn to see it, and that just takes experience and time, you got to continue to get more and more experience reading the chart. And it just doesn't happen overnight. It's just like trying to do anything that's difficult. You know, if you want to be a brain surgeon, no, not everybody can be a brain surgeon, but probably not everybody can be a trader either. This is easier than being a brain surgeon, but it pays probably as well or better than being a brain surgeon once you learn it. So do you think it's really going to be easy? Or every brain surgeon would probably just be a day trader. So be prepared to put in your time and study. And you can't sit and watch a couple of videos and be a brain surgeon, just like you can't sit and watch a couple of videos and be a day trader. You got to get on the job. You got to learn the basics of it. You got to go to school and learn the basics of it and learn that language. And then once you learn it, then you got to get experience and practice it in real time every day, just like a brain surgeon has to go and get on the job training. He can't watch a video and do a brain surgery. He's got to go in there with an experienced, skilled doctor and get some experience and let somebody watching over him. And so it's the same thing with trading. You got to do it. And so anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I get on that thing every once in a while, but I think it's good for people to hear it. You know, you won't hear that message everywhere, I promise you, in this business. Most people, you know, they want to sell you something, and they're going to not tell you the truth about it. It's not that they're all dishonest, but most of them, there's a demand and they feel it. And because there's always any number of people that are willing to shell out thousands of dollars because they think somebody knows some secret. And there's no secret to trading. I just gave you the secret for free. So you don't have to pay somebody $5,000 for that secret. The secret is it takes hard work and dedication and learning to read this chart. That's the bottom line. And you just got that for free. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox. It's 30 minutes worth. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Excuse my hacking and coughing. I'm a whole lot better. My voice is better, but I still have to stop and clear my throat a little bit every now and then. It's probably going to dwindle on for a few more days, I'm guessing. So, but thanks for bearing with me. But I'm out of here. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.